Look at the news where you are, but from me and the 1 o'clock team, goodbye.
Thank you, Ben. On Look East this lunchtime, the new National Research Centre in Cambridge for people with brain and spinal injuries. Hello, yes, the new centre will be at Addenbrooke's Hospital and it will develop technology to help patients' treatment and recovery. It'll open in April, led by 2 neurosurgeons who will draw on the expertise of inventors, researchers, doctors and patients. Janine Machin reports.
Come on, Beans.
James Piercy can do most things he needs to do. Look after his cat, his kids, work as a scientist. But 13 years ago, it was almost all taken away by a car crash in Norfolk, which killed his wife and left him in a coma.
So the car just spun off the road and hit a tree, and I suffered a traumatic brain injury. The main thing was fatigue. So just get enormously tired. And you get tired because you're stressed and worried about things. You get tired just because you're overwhelmed. So you're going to the supermarket. It's exhausting in there. There's music, there's lights, there's people moving around, there's 100 different kinds of baked beans. I had a bit of trouble walking for the first few months, and I had a sort of weakness right down the right-hand side of my body, and that made knowing where my feet were a bit tricky. So walking was a bit bad, but I sort of got over that with practice, I think, really. And the observant folk will notice that I still wear an eye patch. And that's because I had some damage actually to my skull. It trapped one of the muscles that moves my eye, so I have double vision.
James was brought here to Addenbrooke's by air ambulance. It's the region's main trauma centre. But across the UK, one person attends hospital for a brain injury every 90 seconds. And it's hoped that a new centre being set up here could help all of them.
This Health Tech Research Centre will bring together medical professionals, healthcare professionals, inventors and patients and the public together to drive forward solutions that can ultimately be used to improve the lives of patients with brain injury.
Consultant neurosurgeon Alexis Joannides is one of those in charge of this new venture. It's not just about identifying new technologies, but overseeing the patient trials of them.
So that we can test them, evaluate them, make sure they're safe, make sure they work, make sure they meet all the necessary legislation and regulatory requirements, and ultimately make sure that they're cost effective so they can be taken up by the NHS across the country and hopefully even beyond.
And it's technology like this they'll be looking for. The Neuron Guard, developed by a Cambridge-based company and trialled by medics here.
Is this comfortable?
Yeah, that's fine.
This is a temperature management device. You probably feel it quite...
Yeah, it's chilly.
Chilly, yes. It's cooling your neck and the vessels, the arteries that are bringing blood to the brain. Cooling the brain helps in a variety of ways. Probably the most obvious is that it reduces brain swelling and what we refer to as intracranial pressure, which is one of the key variables. With this type of technology, we would be able to deploy temperature management, say at the site of the accident, so on ambulances, but also when patients need to be transported in an emergency to the operating theater or for a CT scan. We are able with this device to move it with the patient, whereas at the moment we have to discontinue treatment.
And that current treatment is to lie patients on a cool blanket, which is effective but cools the whole body, and that can lead to chest infections. This new centre will build a national network of experts and patients like James to find new ways of improving care.
We don't really know what those best answers are. We don't even really know what all the problems are yet. And one of the ways that we get to do that is we ask people. So my role is to find people who've had a brain injury and their families and get them to meet with researchers and doctors and talk to them and share their experiences. And we know from research that if we do that, we get better results.
James has recovered remarkably well from his injuries. This centre hopes to help others do the same. Janine Machin, BBC Look East.
Now, there are several flood warnings in place today in Norfolk, Suffolk, Peterborough, Northamptonshire and Bedfordshire, pretty much everywhere. Traffic was brought to a standstill earlier on the A14 at Newmarket after water flooded the carriageway. A flood warning was issued for the River Nen at Coggenhoe Mill caravan site near Northampton and further upstream at Whittlesea. Warnings too for the River Nar near Kings Lynn and the River Waveney at Beccles in Suffolk. Also the River Ousel at Leighton Buzzard and Stoke Hammond and Great Brick Hill near Milton Keynes. A funeral director says flooding at the weekend left him unable to offer the dignity he promises to customers. Electricity was disconnected from Barker's funeral services in Long Stratton after heavy rain flooded the A140 and came inside the premises. Craig Barker says it's happened before and he's questioned the future of his business.
We've got 3 funerals on the go at the moment, and I've had to get in touch with the families yesterday and say, don't panic, we are dealing with everything. Your loved one is safe, your loved one is being looked after. We were without power for a good 5 hours, which meant that none of the refrigeration system was working.
Work has started to turn a former fishing industry building into a national art centre with £2 million lottery grant. The Ice House in Great Yarmouth was built in the mid-1800s and it stored the fresh catch before it was taken to market in London. When it's finished, next May, it will become the National Centre for Outdoor Arts and Circus. Ipswich Town's women's side will play at Portman Road for the first time during next month's international break. The club are calling it a landmark day when the Tractor Girls face Chatham. All 4 stands will be open and Captain Maria Boswell says they're looking forward to playing in such an iconic stadium.
I think the whole team are buzzing really. We found out last Friday as a team and it was kind of a bit of a shock to everyone, but for us to get told as a team that, you know, we're going to be playing at a really big stadium and it's something that we've all wanted for a while. So yeah, I just think we're all buzzing for it.
It's thought a kookaburra, native to Australia, has been living in the Suffolk outback for nearly 9 years. It was first spotted in 2015 near Sudbury and it seems to have made itself at home. Suffolk Wildlife Trust say they don't know where it escaped from, but with a lifespan of 20 years, it could be around for some time to come. Clearly the climate here is agreeable. Which brings us to the weather with Dan.
Yeah, thanks very much, Sean. It's something you don't see every day, but I think it's probably a bit relieved that it's not having to deal with the high 40s we've had in parts of Australia in recent days. Very mild out there today, of course. A lot of cloud, little bits of light rain from the thickest cloud. Some brightness every now and again. This band of rain out west is a cold front which will be heading our way for this evening. But for the time being, it is more of the same. Yes, a good deal of cloud, some brightness and sunshine breaking through from time to time. 12 or 13 degrees. Quite breezy, mind you. Those winds gusting over 30 miles an hour in some places. And then as we head towards the evening, here comes our cold front. Quite a weak feature as it's coming down from the north, and then it will tend to stall across the region before then lifting back north as a warm front, a much more active feature later tonight and into tomorrow. So cloud thickening through this evening, a little bit of patchy rain at times, no great amounts. It stays fairly cloudy overnight as that front stalls overhead, and then later tonight as the warm front pulls back in, some heavier rain arriving from the west. It means it won't be too cold tonight, lows between about 7 and 9 degrees, but a pretty wet start then to Wednesday, quite windy too as the winds pick up through the day. We could see gusts between 35 and 45 miles an hour, perhaps 50 around some of the coasts. Most of the rain clearing to the east as we go into the afternoon, but a hangback of low cloud and damp and drizzly conditions even into mid-afternoon. Northamptonshire probably best place for a little bit of afternoon sunshine here. 12 or 13 degrees, so very similar to today, but with the cloud, the wind and the rain, of course, not feeling quite as mild, I suspect. Now for Thursday, we might just have a little frontal wave here pushing some rain up into the southeast of the region, something to keep an eye on. And then behind it, a more active cold front coming through as an area of low pressure develops over the region. So there could be some strong winds around the edge of this low and some pretty lively downpours with that front coming through as well. So the detail for Thursday is still a little bit uncertain at this stage, but certainly one to keep an eye on for the detail for the strong wind potential at least, but some pretty lively downpours around. Once that cold front goes through, it will turn a bit cooler. Notice those temperatures coming back down close to average. Some sunshine around on Friday and Saturday, but also a few showers, but I think a greater chance of showers will be by the time we get to Sunday and early part of next week. And overnight, mild at first, but much colder with the return of some frost by the end of the week. Sean.
Dan, thank you very much. That's all for now. We'll be back with Look East at 6:30. Tom in the seats tonight, but for now, have a good afternoon from all of us. Goodbye.
History. Every rivalry in the making, accelerating, opportunity taking. Try!